Okay, so this is Daf Nun Aleph Amud Beis, and we're middle of the sugya called Kiddushin of Masur and Leviah. Is it necessary that when someone is Makadosh a woman that it should be possible to have relations? Rashi, just to point out, yeah, we didn't say this yesterday. Rashi learns that it means if she's not Roy for Bia, so then that's the question over here. According to Rav, it's not good. Kiddushin Masur and Leviah, and Rashi says it doesn't make a difference. It's Kiddushin anyway. The subject here is talking about the one of two sisters. He doesn't know which one it is. So even though he might be his wife, but it might not. So therefore, he can't have relations. So that would be the question of
because of the suffix, the lower the beer.
Right, and therefore Rav holds not good Kiddushin, and Abai holds that it is. Abai, we're going to get to that. Abai is one of the exceptions.
The halacha today, if somebody was a nida, the girl's a nida,
right,
then we really, according to Rav, you couldn't make the wedding.
Right, it wouldn't be Kiddushin, right. Oh, so maybe. Now, just to point out that Tosfos, it's a nice point. Rav Tosfos on Amar Aleph says that he doesn't agree with Rashi that any time she's not royal to be, it's not good. Just if the Kiddushin made her not royal to be. Like here, the reason, the fact that the way he married her in a way that he's marrying her sister also, maybe the sister. So the Kiddushin caused the problem. That's what Tosfos learns. So according to that, neither wouldn't be a problem. But we're going to pass Nagabai anyway. There's another question about the marriages when she's in either, because now we do Kiddushin and the Suin. We do both of them, and that's another sugya about Chuppah, Sheni Roy Labia. That's going to be another sugya. But here we're talking about the Kiddushin alone, and Rava holds these cases. The more brought down so far would be he married one of two sisters. So according to Rava, it's not good. According to Abai, it's good. But Abai learns the mission is only talking about he wanted to marry both sisters, and that was what the Gemara called yesterday. Called Sheni B'Zachazafil and everybody will say that that case is no good. And the focus is going to be if he wanted to marry one of the two sisters, they don't have that problem, but maybe you have this problem. That's anywhere in the beer. So the Gemara continues to bring Mishnayos to try to knock down Rava. So we continue. Yesterday the Gemara brought a case about all the cases are going to be marrying one of two sisters. That's going to be the question. So there's Mishnayos later on at the end of the Masechta, and that's what the Gemara is focusing on to bring these proofs that it might, even though it's one of two sisters, and according to Rava, and not Rosh Hashanah, it still says that it's a good Kiddushin. Of course, the Lamaisi doesn't know which one to marry. That's going to be technically he has to give her a get because he doesn't know which one it is. But the Kiddushin was Chal. So that's how the Gemara continues. Now, Tashma. So we're on Nun, what do we say? Nun Aleph Hamid Beis? Nun Aleph Hamid Beis. And Tashma, the last one on the line. Tashma. Mishlei Shtei Kitei Bonos, Mishtei Nashim. V'amar Kidashti Espiti Agdola. So someone had two groups of two daughters. It means he had two wives, and each wife had two daughters. Altogether, he had four daughters. Yeah, is the screen good? It's this way, yeah? That's better?
Yeah, that's good.
That's good?
Yeah, much better.
So he had the four daughters, two groups of two, from two different wives. And he said, I was Mekadesh, Biti Agadola. That's the words that he used, Biti Agadola. But I'm not sure what it was, who that was. It could have a couple of choices. Of course, the Gemara looks at it like the older group. One group is the older, 1 and 2 are older than 3 and 4. So the Gemara is going to say anyone might be called to consider the Gedola. Surely the oldest, maybe, and the oldest of the second group also the youngest of the first group might be older than the other one. But the youngest one surely is not in the question. But he said Biti Gedola, but I don't know any Odeya in Gedola Shebekdolos, the oldest of the oldest. In Gedola Shebektanos, the oldest of the second group. In Ktanos Shebekdolos, even the second one of the first group is also in the question. She Gedola Mina Gedola Shebektanos, she's older than the second group, so she also could be called the older one. So it says they're all in the suffix. We don't know which ones are married. She has 4 daughters, 3 of them are in the suffix. Did he mean to marry her off? But what's the question? Our question is that if it's Kiddushin Shen B'Sur and Leviah, the Maisa, even whichever one might have been the one that he meant, but he wouldn't be able to have relations with her because it might be a sister-in-law, not a sister. So according to Rav, it shouldn't be Kiddushin. So then you don't need to get from anybody. That's the kasha. The answer is, you could answer that the case was that when he accepted the Kiddushin, he knew which one he meant. When he said, and now he comes up and I forgot. He said, Kidashti Biti Agadola. I said Biti Agadola, and at that time I knew what I meant. So it was a good Kiddushin, because at the time it was Muvarar, and it was Kiddushin of Masur Labia. Now I forgot what I meant. Good, that's a good answer. So Rabbi got out of it. And the Gemara even wants to support the answer. I could even support to be medayik that that's what the Mishnah means. Diktani eni yodea, v'lo katani eni yodua. Shramina. Any of them means I don't know. If it would have meant that it wasn't known Be'etzem because he didn't verify, he didn't specify at the time, and he himself just said one of my daughters. He didn't say one of my older daughters. He didn't say my older daughter. He didn't, and he himself didn't mean to specify which one it was. Then he should have said Ein Yadua, that it's not known. Ein Yodeh means I don't know. He has a personal problem that he forgot. So Shramina, the Gemara is happy with that diuk, and the case of nothing to do with Rava. At the time he knew, and it was Kiddushin Amasur Levia. He knew which one he married. He married off. And now there's a problem that they forgot which one. So we're analyzing his language. That when he said Gedola, he surely didn't mean the youngest, but he might have meant any one of the older three. So then what's the Chiddush in the Mishnah over there, which is the Pashut in the Mishnah? The Mishnah is saying a Chiddush, besides this case of Sun Labia, Afukim there. Yossi, Damalo, and Machas in Ishnam Shel Fake over there. Rabbi Yossi argues and says that only the oldest is he meant. When he said my older daughter, Rabbi Yossi. But then Mishnah over there is Machlokes. Rabbi Meir says that the three oldest are in the suffix, and Rabbi Yossi says only the oldest one. He's no suffix, only the oldest one, because he doesn't say something in a way that he might get messed up later on. The way Rashi explains over here is that a person doesn't take himself down to a suffix. The word machis is like to go down. He doesn't put himself into a situation of suffix. So Rashi says that it means when he said he's not going to say a word which later on he might forget what it meant. So when he said Gedola, he meant the absolute Gedola, which means the oldest one. Kamash Malon, the Machaz in Shnaf Shel Fake, Rabbi Meir says that a person does, he might have said a word Gedola, which later on might be questionable. He might forget what he meant. According to Rabbi Yossi, the person doesn't do that. The person doesn't get himself into a predicament. So if he wants to say, he'll say her name. And if he doesn't say her name, he says the older, he means the oldest, the absolute oldest one. But we got out of the kasha. The Gemara is going to have the same type of raya again and again, and always the answer is going to be, come out, the last answer is not going to be, but it's not going to be an answer for the last one. But the whole time we never Rabbi could say, that at the time they did Kiddushin, we knew which one it was, just later on it got mixed up. I'll just put, just to emphasize that. The answer is going to be, that's going to be the answer. And now goes the next question. Tashma. Mamash our case. He married one of two sisters. That's the problem. According to Rava, it shouldn't be Kiddushin. He doesn't know which one he married. So it says he has to divorce both of them. No saying get Lazu, get Lazu. He has to give a get to both of them because he can't marry either one because he doesn't know if it's his wife or it's his sister-in-law. So according to Rava, it shouldn't be Kiddushin. This again is the kasha. It says that it's a good Kiddushin. The answer again is going to be again. The answer is going to be that at the time when he married one of the two, he knew which one he married. Just later on, he forgot which one it was. That's why he has to give a get to each one because it was a good Kiddushin. But according to Abai, it would have been a good Kiddushin even if he didn't. He just did. Stop! I married one of the two of you, and it's Chala, one of them. We don't know which one, and that's why he also would have to give a get. Take it. The same diak over and over again. The fact that it says he doesn't know, but it doesn't say that it's not known. He personally doesn't know because he forgot, but it was be'esem known because he did know at the time. What's the chiddush of that Mishnah over there? If it doesn't say this chiddush about Kiddushin Usun Labia, say if it's Tzrichalei, really it's just an introduction to the case, which that's the Pashut on the Mishnah over there. It says over there, Mace. Well, we're going to get a little taste of Yivamis, which we did a long time ago. And we remember Yivamis that it has all kinds of complications. So we're going to touch on it again. It's not really the sugya, but Gemara is going to go into all this again. If this man who married one of two sisters and he doesn't know which one, if he still be alive, he tell him to give a get to each one of them. What if he died? So now the question is, he died without children, and there's one brother. Now the one brother, what's going to do Yibum? He can't. The same way the live brother couldn't have married one of them because it might be his sister-in-law. So also the Yavam can't do even any one of them because maybe it's going to be Achos Kukasa. The same way that he can't marry Achos Ishto, he can't marry Achos Kukasa. So he can't. So Achol Ishto, he has to give Chalitza. What if to both because he doesn't know which is the real wife. What if he had two brothers? Then it is possible for one brother to do Yibum. Then one brother should do Chalitza to one of them, and the other brother could then marry the other one. Because once the brother did Chalitza, so then the other one is not skuk anymore. So the second brother could do Yibum. If they didn't ask questions and both of them did yibum, so we don't make them divorce because it's true that he wasn't supposed to marry her because it might have been a chos kukasa. But once the second brother married, so on the tzad, that is his sister-in-law, and the skuk is the other one, so the Ma'aser Zika went off. Once the second brother, even though what he did was wrong at the time, he married a chos kukasa. But when the second brother married the second one, so now, even though she was a chos kukasa, she's not a chos kukasa anymore, so she could remain married. And that's what the teaches us a chiddush. Tafka michlis v'ada yivumi. Abel yivumi v'ada michlis lo the kapaga b'chos kukasa. The Brisa says that if you have two brothers, so one of them, this point of echad choletz, echad miyabe, that's going to be the chiddush that has to be dafka in that order. That the one of them should do first chalitza, then the second one should do yibum. In order to get off the once he does chalitza, then it's not then for the other brother it's not going to be a chos kukasa anymore. But if you do yibum first, so that's the problem. You like the whole Mishnah used to say that you might be marrying a chos kukasa if you got the wrong one. So then you're getting a chos kukasa. The other one is kuka. Tashmar. Next raya. Shnaim shekitzu. It's the same. It's going to be the same idea over and over again. Shnaim shekitzu. Two married, two sisters, but each one doesn't know which one he married. It's a double exposure of the same case before. Before it was one person that married one of two sisters, he doesn't know which one, and there's going to be two people married two sisters, and each one doesn't know. So it's going to be the same case over again. Zani day is a kiddush, Zani day is a kiddush. Each one doesn't know which one he married. So what do? Each one has to give a get to both of them. The same way would have been one. He has to give a get to both of them. So now that you have two, so each woman is going to get two gittim because she doesn't know who her husband is in order to be able to be married now. Each one has to give two gittim. And again, the Gemara stops and says, how could it be that they married two sisters? One, according to Rav, there's no such thing. The marriage wouldn't take effect because it's ain't royal labia. Since he didn't know which one he married at the time, the more thinks the case is that when he married her, he already didn't know which one he married. So it's the end of Masurin labia. Rav was not a Kiddushin. What's the problem? Tell everybody to go home. The answer is once again, that at the time when they married, they did know who's who. So it was a good Kiddushin. Then later on, the problem happened, and that's why you have this whole confusion. The same thing over again. That if it would have been never known, it would have said no Yedua. It wasn't known. The Eni Odeh means he doesn't know. And then again, my the Meimer was the chiddush of that Mishnah. Then and again, the Pashup Shad. There's only lead up to the case. Sefer Tzrichalei. The Mishnah is coming to tell you the end. Mace v'lazach. Mamish a case of Yibum over there that both of them died. Both of them died. Not both of them died. But Mesu, it should be Mesu. I guess both of them died. Yeah, both of them died. And each one has a brother. But each one doesn't know which one is his Yivama. He doesn't know which one it is. One of them is the Yivama, but you don't know which one. So Zechol l'Sushtein, each one has to give chalitza to both of them the same way, double exposure if it would have been one person. So here you have both have to give chalitza to both. But if each one has, one of them has two brothers, one of the Makachim that died has one brother, the other one has two brothers. So it's again a double exposure, but each case would have been. We know the case already about one brother and two brothers. Here, one has one brother and one has two brothers. Mishnah, the Gemara continues. Is the Mishnah really over there in Yevamos? The one who has only one brother, he has to give chalitza to both of them. But the one who has two brothers, one of them could do chalitza to one, and the other one could be miyabe because on the tzad that it's a chos kukaso, the zika was taken off already because the other one did chalitza. If they didn't ask questions, then both of them did yibum. So it's true he shouldn't have married her because it might have been a chos kukaso. But once the other one did yibum to the other one, so now he doesn't. He's not anymore chos kukaso. Dafka michlis v'had yibumi, aval yibumi v'hadar. Michlis lo the kapagal the shuk that he shouldn't do yibum before the other one does chalitza. If he does yibum first, that's the problem that he might be marrying the yivama who's not supposed to marry. She's not supposed to marry out. So the Gemara, this was the Pashut on all the Mishnayos over there. The main issue was what we said 3 times, that even though it says he married one of two sisters, then according to Rabbi, it wouldn't be Kiddushin. It would be a problem if at the time they did know who was who, and therefore it was Mr. Olibia, then later on it got mixed up. So all those kashas Rabbi successfully got out of. But now it's going to come the last kasha, which is not going to have an answer. That is now on the 5th line. Tashma. New case. The Tani Tavyumi. Tavyumi said over a brisa. This is an easy case, not with the Hebrew cases. Two men, two neighbors. One of them has 5 sons. One of them has 5 daughters. The one who has the sons told the one who had the sons. Of course, Rashi says they made the father a shliach to marry them, or else the father has no jurisdiction over his sons. So they made him a shliach, and he's looking for a shliach for his sons. And he has this neighbor that has 5 daughters. So he says, one of your daughters is married to one of my sons. I read one of you accept Kiddushin for one of your daughters from one of my sons, but he didn't specify which son. They didn't specify which daughter. And it seems that it takes effect. All these cases are very strange, that he can marry somebody without knowing who it is, and it's on one of them, and who knows who it is. And in heaven, they know which one it is. No one knows which one it is. It's a very strange concept over here, but it seems that it works. That I can marry one of my daughters to one of your sons, and it takes effect to one of them, and nobody knows who it is. And that's what it says over here. So now you have one of the 5 sons is married to one of the 5 daughters, and no one knows who it is. So no one's going to be able to get married, because each one might be they can marry anybody. They might be married. She might be married, but she can marry anybody. She's a married woman, but you don't know to who. So give a get. So who's supposed to give a get? Each one has 5 speakers. Each daughter doesn't know who she's married. She has 5. So each one has to get 5 gittin. Each one of the daughters has to get a get from all the 5 brothers. It made it very dramatic. Before talked about 2. I could have talked about 10. So and he said, these are the words that he said. We're going to just point out the words that he said. That's why it's going to be a knockout over here. One of your daughters is married to one of my sons. So each one is 5 gittin in order to get married now, because she doesn't know who's her husband. And the Makash is obviously going to be that it's Kiddushin Shein Musurim Labia. That since whoever the chassan is can't marry his wife, can't have relations with his wife because he doesn't know who it is. Maybe it's a sister-in-law. If one of the sons died, one of the 5 brothers died, so then there are 4 brothers left. Each one has to get from the 4 remaining brothers, and they need chalitza from one of the brothers, because each one might be the wife of the dead brother. So they need chalitza. What do you see from all this? That the Kiddushin takes effect. Even goes Kiddushin Shein Musurim Labia. So it's a knockout on Rava. It's a knockout on Rava. You might want to answer the same case, that at the time they knew which son married which daughter. Just later on they got mixed up. That's not true. Here it says what he said. All that the cases said he married. So you can say he married means at the time that he knew. But here it says, we're quoting, this is a quotation. It should be in quotation marks. One of your daughters is married to one of my sons. So he didn't say which one. So this is the case, that I'm not specifying which son to which daughter, and still it takes effect. So according to Rava, it shouldn't take effect because the Kiddushin Shein Musurim Labia. The Yufta, the Rava, the Yufta. So that's a knockout. The Rava is knocked out. That is not true. Kiddushin does not have to be Musurim Labia. It takes effect even though it's not possible to have relations. This is a famous quote, and it seems it's not from. I think it's not from the Gemara. Amora is probably from later on. Rabbanan Savaroi. That afterwards, these kind of Gemaras usually the Hilchos a lot of times is not from the Avrahom themselves, and it says the Paskan like Abaye in 6 cases, and it's a Rashi Tevis, it's an acronym Yud Ayin Lamed Kuf Gimel Mem. The Gemara doesn't bother telling you what that stands for. The Kuf is our subject. Kiddushin Shein Musurim Labia. That's our subject. This is it. Kiddushin Shein Musurim Labia. We paskin that even though it's not possible to have relations, it's still a good Kiddushin like Abaye, and that's the halacha. The rest of them, Rashi tells us what they might be, what they are. And we don't have to go into all of those. There's even a question what the lamed is. That's why she tells us, Yal Kigam. He says one is Yesh Shalom Adas, one is Eid Zomim, the Mafreya Nifsal, the lamed is Lechi Yomad Me'elov, the Kuf is Agamor, Kiddushin Shalom Musurim Labia, that's Agamor, the Gimel, Gilu Daita Begita, and Mem is Mum Ochel Nevelis, the Teyavam. Tesis has some machlokes over here, what the lamed stands for. Some say the lamed is Leida Shem Roy Behen, and some say that it's all kinds of pshat what it might be, but as far as us, there's no question that the Gimel, the Kuf, stands for Kiddushin Shein Musurim Labia. We pass like Abaye. It's an exception to the rule. Always Abaye and Rava pass like Rava. As a rule, you pass like Rava, except for these 6 exceptions. There might be a couple of more exceptions because Tesis says the pshat and lamed might be already 8 exceptions or 7. But the general we pass like Rava except for this. And here's the Kuf, Kiddushin Shein Musurim Labia. So as Moshe pointed out, that even if you hold that Anida might be considered in roy labia. Taisus will say not because the Kiddushin didn't cause the problem, but Rashi might say that also might be considered a. So it does say that so it wouldn't be a problem. According to Abai, there's no problem to marry a woman who's an Ida because even though it's not Mussar Levi, it's still good Kiddushin. And Shulchan Aruch, it doesn't mean that the Rambam is very tamur that the Rambam says it's a good Kiddushin, but anyway, Lassos came, it's better not to. And the question is why? Where does he get it from? Not simple. Not simple. There's another question about. So it's called right Kiddushin Ida, right? And really, there's another thing about Chuppah and Roy Labia, which is a question that's called Nesuin. There's two stages of marriage, Kiddushin and Nesuin. Our Gemara is Kiddushin. That Gemara is about a Chuppah and Roy Labia. It's a Chuppah. Chuppah is only the Ger, the Yarsha, the Tamila. That's only Kinyanim, but the marriage is a marriage. And that's another Sugi Chuppah and Roy Labia. And over there, the question is if she's considered, neither might not be considered as far as Yerusha. If she dies, does he yarshin her before the chuppah? That's a question about chuppah and royal bia, which is not usually the question. The question is the kiddushin. Eventually, they'll have chuppah when she becomes torah. So it'll be a week later, or 2 weeks later. So she'll have chuppah eventually. The question. So Al Gemara says that kiddushin is not a problem. The Rambam does say that better not to. Anyway, Lassos came to the first. I'm not sure why. Where the Rambam get it from? Some says he might touch her. He might touch her. What does it mean? He might touch her when he gives her a ring. That might be the problem if she's a nida. Not clear. Not clear what the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch also is being done. The Rambam.
You shouldn't do it for a different reason because you get married to be able to live, to be married.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. They made a chasna, like every time they make a chasna, and Kiddushin, they're getting married.
Right?
So we hold that it's okay. We hold like a
I mean, the Kiddushin is chal, but it's not really a person shouldn't get himself in such a marriage.
Why not?
Because it's not a good. It's not a ideal marriage.
Yeah, she's going to go to the mikveh in a week or two. I'm saying now, that wasn't get. No, he's talking about shtei achayos, and of course he has to give a get. Here's the question. I just brought in the question. I brought in the question now for the past 2 minutes about nida. Is it called? Moshe talked about is it called Kiddushin Shein Leviyah? Would Rava say that's not a good Kiddushin? So I said maybe it's telling Rashi and Tosfos over here. It's not a Geil Meister, but passing like a bite. That's good anyway. I just mentioned the Chuppahs Nida. That's a question of Nesuin. Okay. Yeah, maybe I just.
No, I was spacing out.
Okay. New Mishnah. Not the Mishnah we had it, not new Mishnah. We had the Mishnah already. New part of the Mishnah. Said a story in the Mishnah after it spoke about this thing about marrying two sisters. That's to sum it up. That now we pass like a baya that it's Kiddushin Shein Royal Bia is not a problem. Shein is not a problem. So you go back to the Mishnah. What's the problem of Kaddish Te'achayos? Only because he wanted to marry both of them. If he said I wanted to marry one of the two, there's no problem because he's only marrying one. But he says he wanted to marry both of them. That's the sugi before that we came out either because Rami Barchama that the pasuk says or Rabba's Klal that says but that's only problem of the Mishnah. The problem is you wanted to marry both women, then nothing happens. And then ain't a Bukadesh. But if you wanted to marry one of the two, then we pass that it would be good because we pass like a bani. The Mishnah said a story to prove the Mishnah that there was some complication with the Gemara before that it seems to change cases now. Now it seems to be talking about one out of the two because it says a story of 5 women that a man took a basket of figs and it was their figs, but happened to be Shemitah, and he gave it to one of them in order to be Mekadesh all of them. He said, Kolcham, I want to marry all of you. And Chazal said, the Chachamim said over there that the 2 sisters, it was 5 women, 2 of them were sisters, the rest of them were not. And the women sisters are not Mukudashos. And it's mashma that the 3 other ones are Mukudashos. Or one of the 3, that was the most problem with 3 at Hamor. We'll leave out the details today. But the Gemara says, and this Mishnah, Ma'aseh B'chamish Nashim, and the whole Mishnah, Amarav, Shvam B'nam Masis and Arba, V'naket Rabbi Yodei Tlas. From our Mishnah, you see 4 Kiddushin, and Rav took 3 out of the 4. So 3 out of the 4, the Gemara is going to say, well, if they are 4, so why didn't he say 4? The Gemara is going to say that one of them is not so clear. We'll get to that soon. But he said 4 Kiddushin from our Mishnah. Shramina. So let's go along because highlighted. The first one is Hamakadesh Bepero Shvius. I'm sorry. No, what I meant. Hamakadesh. Okay. The parish fees, Mikudeshes. If somebody uses parish fees in order to marry a woman, he collected parish fees. What I say in the Mishnah that they were their figs, but a shmita, and he took a basket of it and he married the woman. And Yes.
Is it theirs because it was from their field, or is that theirs because they were Kohen? I mean, one of them.
No, it was their
It
field,
was their field.
and since Shvi is a
So it's not
sefer,
theirs. So it's not their.
no, it was their right. It was their figs. It was their fig trees, but there was Shemitah, so therefore he was allowed to pick the fig trees, and now he keeps it, and now he's allowed to marry them with it. That's the Mishnah. And what do you see? That even though it's parish Shvi, it's a good Kiddushin. Is that a Chiddush?
But it's his.
Because
It's
Yeah,
his
right.
Because he picked it up.
right, so that's a Chiddush. The
It's not
Gemara says right, but it was theirs. It means it's their fig trees. But he was allowed to take it because the Shemitah he's allowed to use it now for Kiddushin. And the Gemara says it's a Chiddush. What's the Chiddush? Why is it a Chiddush? Is there a Chiddush that you're allowed to keep parish Shvius? So they look for the Chiddush. So Rashi says 2 points, and Tais seems to explain Rashi. That the first one is, you might think that even though you're allowed to eat Shvius, doesn't mean that it's yours. You're allowed to take Shvius, doesn't mean that it's yours. Lo amina, lav mamono, there's zocher b'henenu. You might think that it's not your money. The Torah gives you a right to eat it, but it's not yours monetarily. So it's a Chiddush, no, it's yours. And therefore, if you married a woman with it, so it's a good Kiddushin. There's another point Rashi says, which Tosfos seems to explain, that it says, la'achla, it also says you should use Shemitah to eat. But Lola Dabaracher, don't use it for other things. Now he's using it for something else. He's using it to marry a woman. Maybe let's eat it. Using it as the money, using it as a money. So in the Rashi, I might have thought that it means that there's no problem. You're allowed to do it l'chatchila. This doesn't include using it, since eventually it's going to be eaten. But it does say, you're not allowed to do business, even if the consumer is going to consume it. Even if you're going to sell to somebody, you pick parish Shvius, and you're either your own or somebody else's, and you're going to now do business with it and make money, and the person who buys it is going to eat it. That's no good. You're not allowed to do business. So Tosfos says that here also he was not allowed to do it. It's an avera. The fact that he used the parish Shvius to marry a woman is like he did it for business. Tosfos says that Mercedes he did avera, but the Maisa you did Kiddushin. Here it says, where's Tosfos? Yeah. He's even though it's also to buy with it, like it says, that means but if you did buy something with it, so it's a good sale. This case over here, that he used parish Shvius to marry a woman, doesn't mean he did a good thing, because he's using it for business, so to speak. He's using it to marry a woman. The woman, of course, is going to eat it, but the buyer of the parish Shvius he did it for store is also going to eat it. But still, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to do business with parish Shvius. You're not allowed to use it for the monetary value. And he did. He used it in order to marry one. Tosfos says he wouldn't be allowed to. It just means that the evidence is a good Kiddushin. That's how Tosfos, and maybe he's explaining Rashi, seem to explain. That's the first Kiddush. Next one. Shema Mino. Right. It doesn't say it's mutter. It doesn't say it's mutter. And it could be only with the Eved because you're not allowed to. That's a Kiddush. It might be a Kiddush. Shema Mino. Kitcha Begezel. Eina Mekudeshes. Afilu Begezel Dida. If somebody stole, and now he takes the stolen thing and he gives it to the woman and says, "You're to me," it's not good because it's not his. Even if he stole from her, and he gave it to her. I mean, we had Gemara like this stuff before on Daf Yud Gimel. I think over there it spoke about that he stole. Here it's speaking about if he would have stolen from her and then give it to her as Arayat Mekudeshes, like it says there about the Varshachi. She was selling something and he stole it from her, and then he said, "I'm giving it to you, Arayat Mekudeshes." So the question is going to be, and she accepted it. So do you say that she accepted it means that she was mochel him on the Gzela and she accepts it now as Kiddushin? Or she's just taking it back because she says it's mine. In Shakli Vididi Shakli, I'm taking what's mine.
It's not the two functions of the same item. How is he giving it back?
He meant to be Mekadasha with it. And the question is, when she accepted it, did she mean to say,
she's saying it's mine?
And therefore, not Kiddushin, I'm taking it back, not for marriage, I'm taking it back because it's mine. But maybe she meant to say that it's fine, I want to marry you, and never you don't have any money, so you stole from me in order to have some money, because you want to marry me, and you're giving it to me, and yeah, I want you for a husband. So that's the question. That's the question. What does she mean? So here in the Mishnah, the fact that the Mishnah says that it was theirs and it was Shemitah. It was theirs and it was Shemitah. So it seems that the Mishnah wants to get out of the problem that if it would be not be Shemitah, then it would be Gezer. As the Gemara explains, how do I see this in the Mishnah? So he says, since the Mishnah says that it was theirs, it's their figs, their fig tree, but it was Shemitah. That's the reason why it's Kiddushin, because even though it was theirs, it was Hefker. But time of the Shvius, after who? It's the only reason why it's good Kiddushin because it was Shemitah. But if it wouldn't have been Shemitah, Hadashah Shani Shvua, the other years of Shemitah, low, it wouldn't be a good Kiddushin. Why not? If you say that once.
It remains their way.
But if you say that it's possible to say when she accepted the Kiddushin, she meant to be mochel on the Gezel and accept it as his money, and she's getting Kiddushin, so then it would have been also been Kiddushin. The fact the Mishnah doesn't say that. The Mishnah tells you is even though it was theirs, but it was Shemitah, that means only because it was Shemitah, that's why it's a good Kiddushin. If it wouldn't have been Shemitah, it would not have been a good Kiddushin because she's just taking it back as Hashavas Kazela. She's not taking it back as Kiddushin. So that's the second point that Rav sees in our Mishnah. A third thing that Rav sees in our Mishnah. Ushma Mina, Isha, Nasis, Shliach, Lachavita, Afilu, B'makom, Shenasis, Lo, Tzara. The Mishnah says that he gave the basket of figs to one of them for all of them. That one woman of the five accepted the basket of figs to be Kiddushin for all five. And that means that all of them, she's a shliach for herself, she's taking it, and she's also taking it for the other four co-wives that are now going to be married to him also. So you see that a woman can become a shliach for somebody else, even if she's now becoming a co-wife with them. You might think that she only wants herself. She doesn't want the co-wives, any co-wives. So if he says, I'm marrying you and others together with this basket, she might have thought, I'm only accepting it for myself. I'm not accepting it for everybody. Since it says in the Mishnah that the rest of the Mama Kudashos, that means that she doesn't have a problem with that, even though she's accepting the Kiddushin, the Tmorim, the Te'inim for herself. She's also accepting it for other ones also, thereby making them co-wives. That might be a Kiddush in itself. I see that Rashi and Tosfos talk about that even though you see that she's Pasal Eidos, and therefore maybe she can't be a good shliach either. I don't see what the connection is now. But the point of the Chor is no Eidos over here, it's a shlichus. But you might have thought that she doesn't mean to become a shliach because she doesn't want to have a co-wife. Kamash Malan, that she doesn't mind, or at least if she doesn't say so beferish, she means to be mekabel for the other ones also, and they're all married. So that's already three Kiddushin. Number Kaddish Perish is Kiddushin. Number two, Kitchel Begezel Leinu Mukadeshes. And number three, even if she took it herself, her own Gezel. And the third Kiddush was that a woman becomes a shliach to marry somebody else, even though thereby she's making herself a kohen. The Ilach Mahi, what's the fourth one? There was a fourth one that Rav said he's not going to put it into his list, but there's really a fourth thing. The answer is Kiddushin Shem Mesurim Lebiyah. That's the subject we talked about for the past daf. Kiddushin saying Em Mesurim Lebiyah, that the one shot would be, that's the question now. So the Gemara says, why don't you list it? Because it's not clear in the Mishnah what the Mishnah says. Means, is the Mishnah talking about he wants to marry two women? He wants to marry the sisters. Did he want to marry both of the sisters? Or did he want to marry one of the sisters? If the case was he wanted to marry one of the sisters, and it says that it's not good, that would say that Kiddushin Shem Mesurim Lebiyah is not good. That would be like Rava. But if the case of the Mishnah is that it's two sisters, that means that one sister would be good, and that means that Kiddushin Shem Mesurim Lebiyah is good, and that's Machlokes Abai Rava and Rav. Excuse me. Rav had the Tut Stadim. Thank you very much. It is interesting that Rav was before Abai and Rava, a couple of generations before, and he had the way Mark presents it. He had the whole sugya already about Kiddushin Shem Mesurim Lebiyah. He had the two ways to learn the Mishnah. And the Gemara B'Chsor Mechsher, everybody has to fix up the Mishnah itself the way it reads it. It starts off with two sisters. He wanted to marry both of them, and then the Mishnah sounds with the cheshbon of Kniat v'Chamor. It must be that it's talking about one of the two sisters, and you have to be, that contradiction. Everybody had to fix up. Abai had his way, Rabbi had his way, and here the Gemara says Rabbi had all those cheshbonos already, and he said, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I've learned the Mishnah, and therefore he said the Mishnah meant something over here, but I don't know what the Mishnah meant. So therefore, I'm not going to put it into my list because I don't know what to say. Should I write Kiddushin Shem Mesurim Lebiyah is good or Kiddushin Shem Mesurim Lebiyah is not good? It happened to be that we pass like Abai that Kiddushin Shem Mesurim Lebiyah is good, and therefore the Mishnah must be it's only a problem when he wanted to marry both wives. Kiddushin Shem Mesurim Lebiyah is good. End of that Gemara. New point. The Gemara is now going to be focusing on the second halacha. The second halacha that Rav said that you can see from here. If somebody stole and used it to marry a woman, it's not a good kedushin. And the sugi is going to say that it has to do with about yish. Yish kedi kani, yish kedi lo kani. Maybe I said it wrong. Stam Gezla Yesh Bailam, do you assume that the owner was Miyayish and then the Gazlan owns it? And then he came in. Of course, he didn't have baby, not allowed to steal. But if he did steal, does he own the? I think that he stole. So that's totally filled years. That Stam Genev, Stam Gezel is Yesh Bailam. And that's, if he says here that's not Kiddushin, the reason is because the owner was not Miyayish, still belongs to me.
Yeah, but now she sees the stolen item. Maybe that she has a karot and she doesn't realize.
Right. So not that she's Miyayish. Then maybe she's mochel over here. So there are two subjects going on. One is when he steals from an outsider, and one is when he steals from the woman herself. If he steals from an outsider, the sugya is was he Miyayish or not? That's going to be the sugya. Was the owner that he stole from, was he Miyayish? If he's Miyayish, then it's the Ganav's money, and he could now marry a woman with it. And when you talk about he stole from the woman herself, so then there's another question that even if it's hers, she means to be the fact that she accepted it in return. Maybe that means to say that I want to marry you, and I'm mochel the gneva that you did from me in order you should have money, and now I'm accepting it as Kiddushin. So there are two sugis going on. And Rav said, you see in our Mishnah that it's not a good Kiddushin, even when you steal from her. Because that was the case of the Mishnah.
The bigger problem is that she might take it back saying that thanks for giving me.
That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about when she takes it back. Does that mean that she's taking it as Kiddushin or she's taking it back because it belongs to her? Inside, that's what we're talking about. So you see in our Mishnah that the only reason why it's a good Kiddushin is because it was Shemitah. If it wouldn't have been Shemitah, then it would not have been a good Kiddushin, because we will say that she only took it back for herself and she didn't mean to be mochel him and to take it as his money. So
if it's Shemitah, then it's not Geneva.
That's right. That's right. That's
so
what.
Not even a
that's right. Not that's not a question. That's the reason why the Mishnah says that is good, because we're Shemitah, and we can remember that if it wouldn't have been Shemitah, then it wouldn't have been a good Kiddushin, even though she took it back. She took back her own. Maybe that shows that she was mochel. And our Mishnah, you see that you don't say it like that. You say that she wasn't taking it back as mechila. She was taking it back because she wanted to get everything back in shakli. So here the Gemara says, Kisalik Rabbi Zera. Rabbi Zera first lived in Vav, then he went to Eretz Yisrael. That's why it says sometimes you find Rav Zera, sometimes Rabbi Zera. Rav means without smicha, Rabbi means with smicha, and he only got smicha in Eretz Yisrael. So that's why. And the other stories in the Gemara about when Rav Zera went to Eretz Yisrael. Here it says Kisalik Rabbi Zera. When Rav Zera came from Babel to Eretz Yisrael, Amar Lashmai to Kamed Rabbi Yochanan. He said over the Gemara of Rav. Rav Zera heard it from Rav in Babel, which Rav was in Babel also at a certain period, or I'm not sure if Zera saw Rav. He probably did. So he said over the Gemara, the Rav said, because from our Mishnah, 3-4 things. Did Rav say so? So Rabbi Yochanan was surprised that Rav said so. And the Gemara is going to focus on the second halacha that he said that Amakadosh Begezel ain't Amakudeshes. And Rabbi Yochanan was surprised, Rav said so. So the Gemara thinks that he was surprised, Rav said so because can't be. And the Gemara says, does he not agree? The Gemara doesn't it? You put on the punctuation. And the Gemara says that did he not say so? Rabbi Yochanan also agrees to that. From Rabbi Yochanan, if somebody stole and the owner did not yet give up hope, so both of them, the owner and the Ganav, the Gazlan, both of them cannot be makdish. They can't consecrate the stolen item. The Ganav, the Gazlan cannot, but it doesn't belong to him. That means that since there was no years, he speaks that there was no years, so therefore the Gazlan doesn't own it. It still belongs to the owner. So let the owner be makdish and a b'shusa. Since he doesn't have control over it, also in order to be makdish something, it has to be under your control. The Ganav has control, but he doesn't have ownership. The owner has ownership, but he doesn't have control. Anyway, what do you see? That Rabbi Yochanan holds that Stam Gzela is not used by them. Just because he stole, it doesn't mean that the owner gave up hope. And he also should agree that if a Ganav stole, that it shouldn't be Kiddushin because it doesn't belong to him. So why is Rabbi Yochanan surprised that Rav said so? The Gemara answers, this is what Rabbi Yochanan meant to tell Rabbi Zera. Rav Kabasi, Rav holds like me, means he wasn't surprised in a bad way. He was surprised in a happy way that he heard Rav said that someone's Makadosh with Gzela is not a good Kiddushin. He said, oh, Rav says so. I didn't know. I'm very happy. I also say like that. So we have Rav and Rabbi Yochanan, both of them say that Stam Gzela is not used by them, and therefore someone uses it for Kiddushin is not a good Kiddushin. Tomorrow's a kasha, Meisvei. It says in the Brisa that someone's Makadosh Begezel, it is a good Kiddushin. We had the sugya on Daf Gimel, Meisvei, Kitsha Begezel, the Chamas, Begneva. If somebody was Makadosh a woman with Gezel, Mamashal case, Kitsha Begezel. Or Chamas means that he forced somebody to sell something. Geneva, that he stole it not Gesla means open robbery, and Geneva means that he did it secretly. So it says all these cases, it's going to say Mukudeshes. It also says or he stole from her. He grabbed a coin from the woman herself and he was Makadisher. That would be a more spar to say that is good because maybe she was Mochel. But it says all these cases, it says all the cases are Mukudeshes. It says that case, that's a case that Rabbi Yochanan didn't talk about. Rab said that even that case is also not Mukudeshes. That's a kasha. Here it says in the Brisa that all these cases are Mukudeshes. It sounds like Stam Geneva, Stam Gzela, plus also stealing from her. And it says it's all good. So it's a kasha on Rabbi Yochanan and Rab and the Diak of our Mishnah from this Brisa. The Gemara doesn't make a machlokes. The Brisa only means to say if he stole from her. If he stole from her, then it's good because then she's mochel. The Gemara's gonna have a problem with that in a minute also because we said that it's not even good. In our Mishnah, it's not good even if he stole from her. You don't say that it was mochel. You just say in shakli v'didi shakli. But the Gemara says, how could he say it's only talking about when he stole from her? The Brisa says he was Makadasher with Gezel, Chamas, Geneva, or he stole from her. So it says the first case is not talking about stealing from her. Since the last case is that he stole from her, the rest of the Brisa before, the Gezel, Chamas, Geneva, all of this talking about he stole from somebody else. Because the last case is he stole from her. So you see that even stealing from somebody else also it is good Kiddushin, which means another way of saying that Stam Gzela is Yesh Bailan. That's called the Kasha. The answer is, don't read the Brisa the way you did, that it's saying a bunch of cases and it says he stole from others, he stole from her. It's coming to explain. The O, don't take the O so seriously. Maybe you have to edit it. It means if he stole with Gezel, Chamas, and Geneva, meaning that he stole from her, that's when it's good. But if he stole from somebody else, it's not good. So here the Gemara is saying that stealing from somebody else is not good because Stam Gzela is not Yesh Bailah. But if he stole from her and gave it to Makadosh with her and she accepted it, we say that the acceptance is that she's Mochalim and she wants to take it as Kiddushin.
I'm sorry. So what did you do with the O? You're taking it out? Or?
I don't know. I really don't know. That was one suggestion is to take it out. Any Rashi over here to help us out? The O seems like that's what could you do with that? The Gezel Dida. No Rashi. No Rashi. So I don't know what to do with the O. I guess you have to take it out. I don't know.
Maybe that it's two prices combined.
I don't know.
Or maybe it implies that the first three
how did it say?
The first three cases are no good, or in a case where it's from her hand, it is good.
So that's putting in a lot. The Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara says she's coming to explain. You're saying differently than the Gemara. You're saying yes, but the Gemara says that it's coming to the last line is explaining the previous lines. She's coming to explain herself. It puts in a ketzad instead of the O. I don't know how you do that. Ketzad, if he stole from her and he was Makadasher, so it is good. So it answers part of the kasha, but it doesn't answer everything. It answers that Rabbi Yochanan usually said that Gazel, Stam Gzel is not Yesh Bailan. That's good. That's okay because and it's if he steals from somebody else, it's not good Kiddushin. But the problem still is that Rav said that a non-Mishni, even if he steals from her, it's also not good Kiddushin. And this Brisa says, at least minimum, it says that if he stole from her, it is good Kiddushin. Again, the difference between her and somebody else is that for somebody else, he doesn't down if it's good Yesh Bailam or not. But her, there's another reason to say that's good Kiddushin. Maybe she's mobile. The fact that she accepted it in return, maybe she meant to say, I'll take it as Kiddushin. Mm-hmm. But here it says in our Mishnah that only is good because of Shemitah. If it wouldn't have been Shemitah, it wouldn't have been good, even though it was her accepting back her own thing. So you see that even by herself, it's also not good Kiddushin. That still remains a kasha. And that's the Gemara on Amud Beis now. Masnisen, the Gezel Dida, become a rabbi in Mukudeshes. Our Mishnah is talking about stealing from her and giving it back there. And Rav said that case is also not good. And the Brisa does say that is good. He's still left with a contradiction. Lo kasha, which the Gemara said the same thing on that Gimel. That difference is if they were engaged, Shadach means they were Shaduchan already. They decided to get married. Then when he stole from her and gave it back to her, then we say that she meant to accept it for Kiddushin because that was the agreement. They're going to get married, and now he comes to steal from her and give it and tells her for Kedusha. So she takes it as a very loving move that he doesn't have money, and he wants to marry her, so he steals from her and then gives it back. He could have asked her for a present, but he steals from her and then he gives it to her. And then we say that she meant to give it, to accept it as Kiddushin, and she was mochel him. But if she was no Shidduchin and he just came and stole it and gave it back, then she's just taking back her own thing. So you have to go back to the Mishnah now, the case of the story of the Mishnah, that it says that it was good Kiddushin. No, the Mishnah says only good Kiddushin because it was Shemitah. If it wouldn't have been Shemitah, it wouldn't have been a good Kedushin. The case was low. The case was low. The case was low shadeh. So the story there is very interesting story. I don't know what the case was. The historical case. They have seen what happened over there. That they had not talked about Kedushin before, and he stole from them. He didn't steal because it was Shemitah. He took a basket of figs that they didn't have any. That's not theirs now because it's Shemitah. It was their fig tree, but it was Shemitah, and he married all 5 of them. And the Mishnah talks about that the sisters are not married because because and the question was they wanted to marry all of them, not that he wanted to marry one of them. Then there's a problem about Kniyat v'chamor, why the other ones yes can marry. You have to say kolchem kolchem I forgot. Abaya again. Abaya says it's talking about. No, that's not good for Abaya. That's not good for Abaya because Abaya holds that it would be good for the sisters also because he holds Kedushin would be is not a problem. So he's talking about all of them, and he has to make a chesur machzura that this is no good and this is good. I forgot the details, but that's how the halacha is going to be. Kedushin is good, and here the Gemara is talking about the fact that it was Geneva. So the Gemara says that the Geneva is only a problem because it was low shadich. They were not engaged. But if they would have been engaged, so then if he steals from her and gives it back to her, so then it is good Kedushin. The rest of the Gemara now is a couple of stories.
Before we got to the shadik, are we also saying that if it was stolen, as long as it was stolen from somebody else, it would not be good. But if it was stolen from her, maybe she would accept it.
You're right. She meant to accept it as Kedushin, and she was mochel for the Geneva, and it's now his, and now he's taking back the Kedushin. That's what we wanted to say. Okay. It's not a kasha.
Yeah.
Because in the Mishnah, it's mashma not like that. The Mishnah says that it was stolen from them, but it was not stolen because it was Shemitah. Mashma that if it would have been stolen, it would not be good. Even though he's took it from them and gave it back. The answer is because in our Mishnah there was no shadich. We have a contradiction by even taking it from the woman herself. Is it good or not? Because that kasha, we have to say the difference of shadich and low shadich. If they were engaged, so then she meant to say, yes, it's fine. You stole, and I'll mochel you, and I'm going to get married to you. And if it was no shidduchin, so then she just meant to take it back because she wants to get back her stolen object. New story. I didn't have time to look in the Mefarshim about this story. I don't get exactly why it says some details that are not necessary. There was a woman who was washing her foot in a basin. That she was washing her foot in a basin of water. So all this part of the story, I don't know why it's necessary. For the continuation of the story, I don't know why it says it. A man came, grabbed the coin from his friend, and he threw it to her. I'm marrying you. So what's the question?
He was throwing, he threw it, and
He
while it was in the air, he said, "I'm marrying you."
I'm not making it so. He said, I'm marrying you, and he threw her a coin. That I just stole. So what's that have to do with washing her foot in the basin of water? Well, I'm not catching.
She was washing the foot in the basin. Yes.
She was.
That's true.
Let's do the stories.
It
doesn't.
He fell over for the.
Okay.
Can it be a signal of concentration? Meaning, does she have that?
He should explain it.
So
what do you say?
Does she have to have a certain level of concentration, maybe? And this is maybe saying that she, what condition she's in to have that.
But the more's not going to talk. The more's going to talk about just the question about Geneva. It's only going to talk about the Geneva part. It's not. That means the fact that he stole the coin in order to marry her. That's going to be the nidon of the Gemara. It doesn't talk about anything else. So I'm sure Oswald said something, but I didn't look. Why the story should just be that a man
why he decided to do it. He was overcome by desire when he saw her washing her feet. I don't know.
It could be. That's what Chaim David is explaining, and it's also not much a side point, not relative to the. That's only what aroused him to want to marry her, but it doesn't seem to have anything with the subject over here. Just the question is, he stole, and he wants to marry her with a stolen coin, and that's the subject. Is it a good Kiddushin or not? So, if anybody finds any,
Is our money just this point?
again,
It's
there was a
still stolen-
woman.
Are we still doing by stolen coin at this point?
That's what it says. It says
Oh, no,
openly.
no, no.
Yeah, there's also
I don't know, why are we
Gabra.
talking about throwing this now?
Why did he throw it?
Yeah, why is he throwing it? I thought it was something.
Another kasha. Why does it say that he threw it?
Yeah.
One kasha is why say the whole story
I know
about
he's
washing a foot.
stolen, but he's also
And why does it say
checking
that he threw the coin? Why didn't he give it nicely? So I don't know the answer to those questions. The Gemara only concentrates, focuses on the object that it was a stolen coin. Also, Gabriel made the Rabbi, so he came to Rabbi to ask if it was a successful Kiddushin. Amar, so he said, less l'chash Rab Shimon. Nobody agrees to Rab Shimon. Nobody's choshesh for Rab Shimon. Shita Rab Shimon says, Amar, stam gzeli yesh b'aylam havi. Rab Shimon is the one who holds that when you steal, gzela, in contrast to geneva, gzela, you could assume that it was miyash. If someone came in broad daylight and he stole, you could assume that the owner gave up hope. If it's geneva, maybe you'll get, but the guy is such a big yon in broad daylight, so he doesn't have intention of trying to get it back anymore. He's miyash. So that's the answer. Rav, Rabbi Yochanan, and here Rava, they all say you don't say Islam Gzeli Yesh Bailam, and therefore when he stole, it doesn't belong to him still. So the chassan who tried to get married by the man who tried to become a chassan by stealing and marrying, it doesn't work. And we came up before that if he steals from the woman, so then if there was a shidduchan already, so then she did mean to give it to him in order to be able to get married. Anything?
He just says see Shabbos. It doesn't explain anything here.
No. And Shabbos just says what a meshachla is. A meshachla is a basin.
Meantime, I didn't see it.
That probably means that nobody talks about it. So I'm baffled. What does that have to do with the story? The Gemara doesn't do this. The Gemara doesn't say all the details that are not relevant to the issue.
Suppose it was like a cheap marriage over here.
But that's not the question. The question is,
I'm not disagreeing.
and he threw it also. It makes it even cheaper. But that's not the issue. What?
Could the throwing say that it proves that the owner didn't want it? Because when he threw it, the owner himself
the owner
to get it.
No, the owner didn't throw it. Again, the Ganav threw it. The Ganav seized it and threw it.
I understand.
So he threw it. Why did he throw it? That's the way you give a Kiddushin under the chuppah. You're not going to throw the coin at the woman. So a lot of kashas on the story.
Oh no,
a lot of kashas on the story, but what?
I was saying the Ganav threw it to show that the owner gave up on it because he didn't go pick it up when the Ganav threw it. Could that be proving or helping prove that the owner didn't really care about it?
The Gemara is here, but the Gemara doesn't bring that factor. It says that Reb Shimon is the only one who holds that Stam Gzeli Yesh Bailam. Nobody else holds like him. It doesn't bring this extra factor that maybe the owner here, you see that he's not interested anymore. I don't know. Okay, that's the end of that story. New story. Ahu Arisa, the Kaddish ben Muza the Shimchi. Oris is a sharecropper. That he has rights to, he's going to get a percentage of the produce. He was Makadish, a woman with the Muza the Shimchi. So Shimchi means onions. What's a Muza? So Rashi says that it means Rashi says that it means a handful. A handful of onions. On the side, someone reads down from the Avrohom that it means the top of the onion, or Rashi B'Tzav, I'm not sure. So he was an artist in the field where they grew onions. He took Muza the Shimchi, this let's say Rashi, a handful of onions. How much is 1 onion, 2 onions, whatever, handful of onions, and he was Makadosh a woman. So what's the problem? So the problem is it's not his because he's only an artist. He's only a sharecropper, and the whole thing has to be a percentage for the owner, a percentage for him.
Beyond that.
What let's say he didn't own that amount of that share in the field.
I don't know. So the question is, he took some, so that he'll say this is on my cheshbon. So let's see. I don't know.
It could be that each onion, a percentage is his and a percentage is not his until it's divided up.
Right, and you don't say I'll take this onion and you get the next onion. There are enough onions for everybody. So I'm supposed to get whatever. I'm supposed to get a quarter. So this is part of my quarter. So it seems not. It seems that he has a chelik in each onion.
What? That's how they split up. Every onion in the field they split up.
So surely not. So I don't know. I don't know Pshat this Gemara. Amalei. So Rabbi came to Rabbi to ask if it's a good Kiddushin. Amalei manachlach. Who was mobile to you means that the owner has a percentage of these Muza the Shimchi, and therefore you have no right. It's not all yours. Only part of it is yours. Maybe until you divide. I don't know.
More confused.
Yeah, I'm not going to get it either. But you help me.
Yeah, I would assume that it's until you divide.
Until you divide. Okay, then that's good. Okay, if you say till you divide is okay. Now the Gemara continues. Hani mili b'muza. That's only when it's a muza de shimchi. Abal kisha. If it was a bundle of onions. So then matzi amale, you can tell to the owner of the field, Ana shakti kisha, shakalat kisha. I took a bundle. You take a bundle. Kisha kisha.
That's a set amount, and it's a normal way of splitting.
But before it's a
handful,
bundle.
A handful is a handful. It's not. There's no number to a handful.
I don't know even
There's
way.
a big handful. There's a small handful.
And therefore, you can't say I'm putting this on my cheshbon because it's not in. Yes,
Only
not
you
yet.
like Sudar.
That's the way that then it's only to be divided in that way. But before it's in the packages, before it's in the sack of onions, so then he doesn't have a right to take an onion on his own. They're all shutfim. Okay, thank you. So that's a good shot. That before they divided, or even if they didn't divide, but they have it already packaged in the way that he has a right to get certain packages. So then a certain number of packages, so then he can take it. Then he can take it. But if it was not yet packaged in a way that it's going to be divided, so then he doesn't have a right to take it more than only his percentage. And in that, what he gave, part of it belonged to the owner of the field, and probably wasn't a shavar fruit in the part that he had, or whatever. So therefore, it's not a good condition. I made a mistake where I put this 2 dots over here. Who Gavra? Who's Sarsia? So Rashi says that this Sarsia, I wouldn't know how Rashi knows it. Maybe he got it from the rest of the Gemara. Someone who made beer from, he only was a worker. He made the beer out of the dates of the balabais. Nowadays, I don't think that they make beer out of dates, but in Babel, everything was made out of dates. They made beer out of dates also. So he was the beer maker, and he used to get machzas schar. He used to get, yeah, for Pesach. Because beer, otherwise you have from chametz. Okay, so he gets a percentage. He gets a percentage of the product for his work. Machzas schar. He gets half of the schar. Okay, so that's what Rashi brings down. You see other places where it says what a sarsia is. So he doesn't own the dates, but he has a right to get the product.
What's the sarsia?
A beer maker
Beer.
who maybe not only beer, maybe any kind of a worker who has a right to get a percentage of the product that he makes. And he was Makadish Fruma de Shechra. So what's Fruma de Shechra? Rashi says that it means the sediments. Once you take out the liquid from the dates, whatever's left is called, Rashi says, is called the Fruma de Shechra. So he used that. I guess it was a Shabbat and he gave it to a woman to marry. And the question was that it doesn't belong to him, it belongs to the owner. Machzas schar might even mean that he has a right to get paid for it, but not that he actually gets the product or owns it. So, or maybe there's still shutfim, he doesn't have a right to separate it that way, as the Gemara before said. Asamari, the shechra. So then the owner of the shechra came. Ashkechei saw what he did, that he married a woman from the fruma the shechra. Why did he give him the better? Why did he use the inferior product in order to get Nakadesh? Why didn't you take the better one?
Who said the owner?
The owner.
Well, that means he's Megalit Das that he has rights to.
So Chaim David says that might sound like the fact that he says you should have taken better. That sounds like he's happy with what he did, and the Gemara is going to say, the Gemara is going to say against what Chaim David said. That you might have thought so, and the House Lakame the Rava, and he's going to say you do find sometimes that you find this far, but here we're going to say not over here. They came to Rava to find if it's a good Kiddushin. So Rava said it's not good Kiddushin. There is such a concept called means go to the better ones, which is this sounds like this story over here. And you say if he says go to the better ones, that means that I'm happy with what you did. You should have taken it even better. But he says you don't say it always, it's only by Truma. By Truma, that's the case that's going to bring down now. And over there you do say that's for it, but Rav is going to say chiluk dafka by Truma, not over here. What was the case? The Tanya. Ketzad Amru Torm Shalom Midas Truma Truma. How do we mean to say that if somebody took off Truma without permission of the owner, it's a good Truma? What's the case that it is a good Truma if someone took off Truma without asking wishes? Someone Reuben went to Shimon's field, and he gathered the produce of Shimon's field, and Reuben took off Truma for Shimon. It says Shimon's produce, and Reuben wanted to do him a favor. He gathered it. I don't want to do a favor, whatever his intention was. He gathered it for him, and he wanted to take off Truma for him from Shimon's produce. Shimon's Truma. He didn't ask any questions. If the owner is concerned that he stole from me, you're not allowed to do that. So then you don't have a right to do what to do with my stuff. It's over shus. Then it's not a good truma. But if you see that it's not considered gezel, that the owner is happy with what he did, then it is a good truma. And the Mishnah itself asks, how do you know? How do you know if the owner is concerned about stealing from me? If the balabais came and he saw what he did, he took off truma from my own stuff. You should have taken better. He took off truma. You should have taken better. So what does it mean to say? So we have to analyze what he meant to say. If you find that he really has better, he has better that he could have taken off. So then the balabais meant seriously, truma truma, because the balabais meant to say that he should have taken better. You see that he's happy. So when he took off to truma, it was with the consent of the balabais. You see the balabais happy what he did. If you go around, there is no better. There is no better. So what did he mean? Should have taken better. There is no better. He meant en truma truma. Rashi says he meant sarcastically. He says you would have taken even better if you would have been able to. And I didn't tell you to do that. So over there it depends. If he said klachet al yafos and there is yafos, so then he meant it. Yes, I'm happy. So the Gemara might say,
but he's also saying this is disapproving. He says, if you're doing a truma, do the best. Why are you doing?
That doesn't make that it's not approving. He says you should have done it even better. Doesn't mean, but it means he allows him to take off truma. If he allows him to take off truma, so that is good enough.
Right.
That part the Gemara is looking at. But and that was what?
That means it's not ganav.
He's not a ganav because even though it's not a ganav in any way because he's not taking it for himself, he's doing it for the balabais. But do you have permission to do it? If you see he's happy about it, it's called permission. If you don't see he's happy, then it's not permission. Chaim Dov is asking even if he's happy about it, but he says I'm not happy with the way you did it. You should have done better. But that the Gemara is not concerned. As long as you had permission to take up truma, it's a good truma. It says this is not again to us right now, but it says if the balabayas added on more, they took more in order to make continue what the Oros was doing. It's another way of showing that he's happy. Anyway, what do you see? That if he said klachet al yafos, it is a symbol that he's happy. So you might say over here also when he came to this the owner of the beer maker came, the owner of the Tamarim came and said, you should have taken better to be Mekadesh your wife with. So don't you see that he's happy? He says no, only by Truma. Is here, he's only embarrassed. He's embarrassed to say, you're taking my Truma the Shechra.
So my garbage.
Huh?
Taking my garbage from Mekadesh Nisha.
And he's embarrassed to say, I want it. So that's why he said he should have taken better, but not. You know, when I think the point is by Truma, it's all his. The point is that he didn't. He's not taking it for himself. He's doing it for the balabais. Over there, you said balabais is happy, but here, if someone takes it for himself, you don't see the balabais is happy. And why? So why didn't he not say Yaganav? Because he was embarrassed. Maybe that's also the reason why he agreed that he could have taken even better, even if there is no say Yavos Mehen. It's because he's embarrassed. So it's not good Kiddushin. So I'm not sure.
He's embarrassed to be makbid on the simple segment.
And therefore he made it sound as if it's fine. But really he didn't want it. I think this has some ramifications about other kind of questions and it's called Geneva. It's called that it's not good Kiddushin. But I'm not sure. I didn't think it out yet, but I heard a question in Hilchas workers. Let's say a worker comes late to work. He's supposed to come at a certain time, gets paid by the hour, and he comes late. Okay, once, twice, but he comes late. At the end of the month, really technically he doesn't deserve all the money.
That's right.
But sometimes the Balabayas doesn't want to be nitpicky and say, he needs the worker. What's he going to do? He says, you come a half hour late every day. So what, you're going to fire? I'm going to fire me because of that. He needs the worker. He needs him. So I heard that it's not so simple that it's not Geneva.
Yeah.
Because the only reason you might say on the other hand, but okay, let me say you didn't fire me and you give me the whole check at the end of the month. That means that you're suffer a kibble, that you accepted. You pay me, you know that I'm missing a half hour every day, but you pay me anyway. But it's not to say that he's only doing it because he's embarrassed. And here the Gemara says that it's Geneva, that it's not considered Kiddushin, because he only was embarrassed, but he doesn't mean it. And he gave it. And I don't know, maybe it's here he just said they should have taken better. Maybe if he actually gave it, it's better. But I heard that as a question. It's not simple that a person can say just because my boss doesn't say anything, it's to get to Rebbe's also. Rebbe sometimes they come late, and the Manal, he can't get a Rebbe, he can't get another Rebbe. What should he do? He's a good Rebbe, but he comes half hour late. So he says, you see that you don't fire me as a riot that you accept what I'm doing. No, it doesn't mean that.
They talk about that, about going to
Phone
Milka.
calls during work
Go,
also.
going to Milka during the day without asking permission. You gotta ask the boss. Okay, can I take off every day to go to Milka? Yeah, I'm making phone calls. Yeah.
Rebbe, I knew
So somebody
somebody
says-
who owned, I knew somebody
Yes,
who
go
owned I knew somebody who owned a restaurant and a bar at one time in his life, a restaurant and a bar. And one of the employees came to him, the owner, and said, I see that the bartender gives his friends free drinks, and sometimes he'll take a drink, but like his friends come in and he gives them drinks. And the owner said, I know he's stealing from me, but I need him. So I'm taking it as a business loss. So he realized that he was getting stolen from, but he accepted it.
And that's
But
the
it's
question.
still-
It's another example of the same question. If he would say that I need it, that I want him to give to his friends, that it should be a good atmosphere.
No, he
relations,
he
that's
did,
one
yeah.
thing. But if
He
says,
didn't want.
I know he's stealing. So that right. So it could be that's really stealing. That the person is stealing, and at the end of the year or at the end of his life, he's going to have to answer. He stole, and he can't say my boss didn't say anything. The boss didn't say anything because he needed you.
Because he needed
you,
him,
but
yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's not called stealing.
Exactly.
Very important, very important.
I once had to take somebody for a procedure in a hospital, and the doctor, a professor over there, I saw the doctor didn't want to write it. It wasn't written. Means he was using the hospital's facilities, but he didn't want that it should be written. He was doing it off the books. That means that he sent for an X-ray, and he said this. He used it, and it was. He was stealing. He was stealing from the hospital. So I asked Rabbi Vormasa. So he said he suggests to write a letter to the hospital, not to say who it was, and ask the hospital, the administration, what they say about it. So
Why not to say who it was?
first find out if they're
If
not
it's
good.
monashach, if it was legal, so you didn't do anything wrong. If it wasn't legal, they should know.
He didn't say not to write the name. Maybe I didn't write the name. I said that was the case. That I went to one of his professors, and they said, first of all, they were like mamish as well. Got such a letter. If not for Avrohom, I wouldn't have written it. But I got it. So beautiful. But they said that what did they say? That we understand that all of our doctors they follow policy and everything's fine. So I don't know what they meant to say. Does the policy mean that they have permission to do it, or and what could we do? Over there, it wasn't so clear to me what they meant to say. But in the case that Lev Yaakov said, that Imam said it's called a business loss, and it's not called that, that's what the price is. I'm happy that he does it. And so I think that's a question at least. It comes to it's a very big question. Yeah, some questions say by a phone call. On the other hand, the boss is not going to say that I want you to be a machine. People are not machines. But I thought that a good criteria would be is that if the boss will be sitting over there, not just for 5 minutes, then it doesn't show good. But if the boss is sitting, all the 8 hours he's sitting next to you, and he sees that whatever, once in a while you make a phone call, once a day or twice a day, so that's fine. But if you be there and he'd see that you're making excessive phone calls, he wouldn't be happy. So that then it's going to even be.
Once you bring up the issue, a lot of things that people do that different hamhagas, different relationships.
Ripping up stamps because he gave it this way to me.
People do something, even though not necessarily they're Michael, just they know that they're what do you call it? Different relationships. Sometimes you'll get a hitchwitz. I don't know, just give it a while. Sometimes a friend will say something to another friend, and he's not that he's happy what he's saying. He just knows that the relationship in general he wants, so he's not going to be Michael. It's not big stealing. It could be different things that people are Pogea without.
Okay, thank you. So be further with this.